Hey everybody, welcome back. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you for watching. And we're going to talk about a bill that was submitted this past Thursday, and it's House Resolution 6225. Now the bill is the working title of the bill is to modernize the business of selling firearms. Now what I'll tell you first is that the actual text of the bill has not been published yet. So what I will tell you is what the people who submitted the bill said, who supports it and what they're saying, and then what the people in the know, how the industry has reacted, and what some people close to Capitol Hill have told me related to this bill. So there's a lot of information here. Please stick with me, and I'll try to get you caught up to date with this dangerous bill that looks to do a lot of things. So let's get into this. So this bill was submitted by Representative Robin Kelly out of Illinois. And what she said upon submitting this bill was, quote, "One of the best things we can do to stop gun violence is to eliminate gun trafficking. Thousands of illegal guns flow into Chicago and all of Illinois from surrounding states each year. Those guns go on to account for more than 50% of the firearms used in commission of crimes in Chicago. Enough is enough. I'm introducing the Federal Firearms Licensee Act to hold rogue dealers accountable and ensure that we are able to adequately respond to the gun trafficking that is contributing to the deadly gun violence epidemic. This legislation proposes common sense security and gun sale tracing policies to ensure that FFLs are not contributing to the flow of guns in our communities." Before I give you more quotes from other people who are backing this bill, there's a couple things to catch there. She's talking about a registry, and she's mentioning that criminals can still get guns. Chicago, if you look at the crime stats, like the murder stats and the violent crime, a majority of those crime numbers, I think it's like 60% of the murder rates happen in cities such as Chicago, New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and the like. They won't tell you that they're going soft on criminals, and that actually contributes to this problem. But what they're saying is, Chicago is a gun utopia, but criminals still get these guns, so we're going to make it harder for FFLs to sell legal, lawful products legally to legal people, so those people can buy them lawfully. Yeah, because that makes sense. Make it harder, like always, make it harder on the good people because of the bad. Well, let's tell you what some other people think about this bill. Congressman David Cicilline out of Rhode Island, he said, "Our current background check system has far too many loopholes, allowing unregulated sales of firearms to people who are not meant to own guns under our current laws and preventing transparency from who owns these weapons." Registry. "This comprehensive package is what we need to plug these holes and ensure that all licensed firearms dealers are playing by the rules and that our laws are keeping up with current technology. I'm proud that this bill includes provisions of my bill, the Fire Sale Loophole Closing Act, to prevent gun dealers who lose their licenses from converting their unsold firearms to personal inventory, which enables them to then sell this inventory without conducting background checks." What did you hear there? Registry, again. And they're trying to make it sound like there's a blanket of rogue FFLs out there that are funneling guns to criminals. I don't know the actual stats, but I'm going to say no. That there might be one or two problem guys or gals in the country, but most of the people, this is their livelihood. This is how they feed their kids. This is not the norm like they're making it sound it is. Congresswoman Barbara Lee from California was up next, and she said nearly 40,000 Americans lose their lives to gun violence each year, and many of these weapons involved come from rogue dealers who have largely been insulated from the law. Access to illegal firearms perpetuates the daily gun violence we experience in low-income and communities of color. Strong regulation of firearms dealers is essential to ending the epidemic of gun violence in this country. I am proud to support Representative Kelly's comprehensive bill to address the supply side issues around gun violence and prevent them from falling into the hands of dangerous individuals. Now they're pushing this epidemic of gun violence. There is no epidemic of gun violence. Guns don't hurt people. There's one in this drawer in front of me, and it has not gone off in the entire time that I've been researching this bill here at my desk. It's the
person. It's the criminal mind and the evil inside someone's heart. You cannot legislate that. Now, they're pulling at the heartstrings specifically to this weekend, this week coming, and because today, as I'm recording this, is December 14th. That's the anniversary of the Sandy Hook tragedy, and they're going to be pulling at all the heartstrings of everybody who is going to be paying attention. So we've heard Registry. We have heard that criminals will always get guns no matter where they are. And we've heard the gun epidemic, the gun violence epidemic. We're going to try to, get the federal government, CDC, to tell us how to regulate guns. That's the ultimate goal. The next goofball, Representative Lane Jevin from Rhode Island, he said, irresponsible gun dealers must be held accountable for their illegal activities, such as falsifying records, failing to implement adequate security measures, or selling firearms without a background check. These practices contribute to the gun violence epidemic in the United States, putting all Americans at risk. This legislation brings together solutions, including provisions from the Keeping Gun Dealers Honest Act, that will give ATF the tools they need to crack down on gun dealers who break the law. And here is what I believe is the root of this bill. I'll tell you a little bit more on this, but they're going to, you've heard that, our laws don't keep up with technology. I believe this is directed at making FFLs and ATF hold on to transaction records indefinitely. That's a registry. More on that in a minute. Several other reps got up, and all the original co-sponsors of the bill had something to say, but you get the point, right? It's all the things that I've pointed out so far. But how do you know the real reason or the real money behind a bill? Well, by the groups that come out in support of it after it's been announced. Well, the president of Everytown for Gun Safety, John Feinblatt, jumped in. He said, right now, the ATF is fighting rogue gun dealers with one hand tied behind its back, which is just how the gun lobby designed it. Rep. Kelly's bill would give the ATF the tools it needs to hold irresponsible gun dealers accountable for putting profit ahead of public safety. Okay, they're going after the rogue gun dealer thing, and I'll tell you who the rogue gun dealer is in their eyes, because they're not coming out to say it. It's going to be hidden in the verbiage, but it's you and me. Moms Demand Action Shannon Watts got involved. She said, keeping guns out of the hands of those who are legally prohibited from owning them isn't only common sense, it saves lives, and that's exactly what this bill will help to do. We're proud to stand in strong support of Rep. Kelly's legislation to close loopholes in the federal firearms licensee system and bring these regulations into the 21st century. 21st century, the technology thing again. But, this is the same thing they say on most all the bills. Like, they're all going to save lives, yet every gun control bill, law that's been passed has cost lives. Crime goes up. Who else got involved in this bill? Chris Brown, the president of Brady, United Against Gun Violence, said, while gun violence is a complex public health crisis, we know that addressing the flow of firearms into communities is a proven and effective way to stop gun violence from ever occurring. The Federal Firearm Licensee Act takes this supply-side approach to stopping guns from flooding communities and driving gun violence, particularly in black and brown communities that bear the disproportionate impact of this crisis. This bill will improve oversight of federally licensed firearm dealers and decrease the flow of firearms into the criminal market. These are common sense solutions that will save lives. Now, on your screen are some bullet points of what this bill, in their language, looks to accomplish. It will modernize regulations for existing FFLs by 1. Requiring physical security measures to prevent firearm theft. 2. Clarifying the standards by which licensed dealers and their employees are assessed for purposes of license issuance and renewal. 3. Repealing long-standing appropriation riders that have impeded enforcement of existing law by barring the ATF from using funds to require licensed dealers to conduct physical firearm inventories and prohibiting the public disclosure of firearm trace data. Firearm trace data has to do with firearms that are used in crimes. What they want, what the left wants, the anti-gun left, they want all the information of that gun to be released to the public, to know whose gun it was, who originally bought it, and who has owned it since. And, it's a way of creating a registry, another way of creating a registry. The next thing they want to do is increasing record retention and electronic data management and sharing for background checks. And that's the really bad thing. That is what they're pushing for here, is to create to force FFLs to keep their records electronically. And I'll tell you some more about that and why that's not good. On the screen again is some more things the bill looks to achieve. It would require reporting of 2 or more rifles or shotguns purchased over 5 consecutive days, the same as for pistols. Next, close the indicted dealer loophole, prohibiting licensees immediately upon being indicted for certain crimes from receiving new firearms or transferring any firearms in their business inventory to anyone other than another licensee or a law enforcement agency. They also want to require annual inspections for, quote, high risk, end quote, gun dealers, and inspections every 5 years for all other gun dealers. Due to existing statutory restrictions and limited resources, only a small fraction of gun sellers are inspected annually, and a large number of those inspections reveal violations. The next one is to require dealer applicants and employees trusted with the possession of firearms to undergo background checks for FFL issuance and renewal. So you already went through a background check to get your gun, but they want to do another one just because you work at a place that has guns. Now, in researching reactions to this bill, I'm going to give you the quote from the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and Mark Oliva is the Director of Public Affairs there, and he said that this bill is an attempt to weaponize the ATF against a lawful and constitutionally protected industry. Now, Oliva also said that if there are FFLs that are breaking the law, then the industry wants them held accountable. He also said, but that's not indicative of the overwhelming majority of firearms retailers out there who are following the rules and doing their part to ensure firearms remain out of the hands who should never have them. As a reminder, the way the law is, for those people who just hate guns because they're told that but don't know anything about the law, every firearm sold at a brick and mortar facility, retail, or online dealer, they go through an FBI National Criminal Instant Background Check, just like it's required by law. Now, I told you that they were looking to go after those rogue dealers, and who are the rogue dealers in their eyes? It's those people who make 80%, who enjoy the hobby of building their own firearms because a couple people in this vast country of millions of people, a couple people have maybe made a gun and done something bad with it, but they're not going to hold those people accountable or responsible. It's everybody else. That's what they're going after. It's another way to do a ban on 80% builds, a ban on making your own firearm, which is another thing that they've been trying to do here for the last couple of years. The big thing is the registry. And I told you I'd tell you again how people in the know are responding to this. First off, this bill, as it currently stands, H.R.6225, has little chance of making it to become a law, okay? Little chance. Only because of the makeup of the Senate right now. This is something that they want. They've been trying to pass several bills individually to achieve the same thing that this would do as a group. But the big thing that they want is they want to have FFLs keep their records indefinitely. By law, they don't have to after, I think it's 20 or 25 years. I've seen two different things. I'm not an FFL, and I'm sure somebody will correct me. But after a point, whether it's 20 or 25 years, they get to shred those records, and they're not kept anymore, and the ATF doesn't get that information. We've reported for years, and it's come out with GOA, and we've heard FFLs come out and say that during inspections, ATF has in the past taken pictures of 4473s, demanded copies of their bound book, of the FFL's bound book with all their transactions recorded in it. And there's a few companies out there that make software where it makes it much easier for the FFL to enter in stuff. They can search items, because if you get a gun 4 years ago and still on your books, and you finally sell it, you got to go dig through 4 years of transactions to find it. This is just a simple search, and this program makes it easy, and this is the problem. It makes it easy when the ATF does show up for inspection. The FFL can take a thumb drive and transfer all that information and just give the ATF agent or the IOI the thumb drive, and off they go. And if there's a problem, they give the FFL a call, and they can try to rectify that. But what happens with that information? The ATF is supposed to destroy that stuff. Who's ensuring that happens? We already know, thanks to GOA and their Freedom of Information requests, that the ATF just this year has already compiled 54.7 million records on gun owners, and now they're trying to find out how much of that has been destroyed, and if it's been a registry. So I don't know about you, but I don't trust them, and I don't trust the fact that they're doing what they should. I think there already is a registry, that they've been just caught doing it. But this bill right here would look to legalize it and force FFLs to go to keep up with the go to the new technology. So this is a dangerous bill for several reasons. And the biggest one is a registry. And what happens with a registration is a confiscation eventually. And what happens after confiscation in every place it's ever happened, everywhere in the world, it's followed by really bad things perpetrated by the government on its people. And it's just not Jared saying it, that's history. And it even happened right here in our own country. The battles of Lexington and Concord weren't because the British redcoats, the British regulars, were mean people. It's because they were going to take the gunpowder and the arms of the militia. That's what kicked it off, gun control. So again, it's H.R. 6225. The actual verbiage has not been published yet. Once it is, I will do my best to get a copy of it and put it into the description here. But you know all you need to know. The people who have backed it, the gun controllers and the anti-gun lobbyists who have backed it and more than likely funded it, because that's how it works. And then you heard from the NSSF. So bad stuff, guys and gals. We'll keep our eyes on this. One thing you can do is to ask your FFL, how do you keep records? Do you keep a handwritten bound book, or have you gone to the electronic records? And what happens with my information once the ATF comes? Do you give them a copy? Ask those questions, guys and gals. Ask those questions. And I'll give you more information on this bill if there is more to give. But as of right now, I'm hearing that there's not really going to be any serious risk for this bill. But they're throwing it out there because there's going to be a lot of people who are upset. So longish video, but I needed to dive into all of the facets of this bill because it is complex. There's a lot of things they're trying to accomplish, and it does nothing but try to infringe upon a right that is uninfringible. Our rights are not given to us by these fools who are elected to represent us, and they have lost their way. It's been a long time. Till we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to keep you, yourself, your friends, your family, your community safe. Please subscribe to Guns and Gadgets to stay in the know on the Second Amendment issues, no matter where it happens, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I will keep you up to date. Please like the video if you get anything out of it. Share it with like-minded folk so it destroys the anti-gun algorithm here on YouTube. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.